Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine. This is episode 142. 142. I'm Mike Blaine, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is my friend, my partner, my confidant, Blaine Birch, the guy who is fucking up the technical stuff every single week. I'm just kidding you. That's not how we start the show. It couldn't have happened on a better episode, right? This episode is about overpromising and underdelivering. So this is the best possible scenario for this episode.
Okay. Well, start over.
We're not starting over. You're not cutting it. You're not fucking cutting it. We're going. We're doing it. All right. Hey, do not cut this. I'm gonna go back and check. Do not cut the beginning of the show. This is the best start I think we've had in a long time.
Okay. Well, I'm going to explain to people then what's going on. So I logged into, and I'm naming names. I logged into Riverside and set up our live streaming. We go to Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and all the stream settings are gone. So we're not live. We've tested it. I went to chat and tried to ask them like, what the hell's going on? And then they just never got back to me. So now we're just going. And so we're missing live this week, and I'll have to figure it out for next week.
But let's think about it. I mean, that's one of the things I like about what we do. We're just live. We're trying to do it. We're not trying to put a facade of who we are. These are real problems that happen. This is something that exists. It's the same thing that happens with other people when they try to do a webinar or a technical thing. It just happens, right? So I think being authentic is better than not being.
I just love that you use the word facade.
Yeah.
That's like the word of the day. It's usually fiddle-hopper. I think today it's facade.
Oh, you know what's funny? I don't think we put that in the last episode. I don't think we got it in.
I think you're right. I think we actually missed last week. So we may have to sneak it in later in the show too. So I guess like if you're watching the canned version of this show. So this happened last week, by the way.
All right. So if you're watching, that means it already happened. But here's the thing. This is a show about business, beer, and BS, right? And we have a healthy dose of all three in every episode. And I want to talk about our beer sponsors because they're fantastic. I don't know if you saw today, I put a picture up of neighbor Pat. This guy last week opened his garage. He's brewing beer. He's got stuff. He's trying to support the show like nobody's business. He is really a master of his craft. I sat down there and he's got timers. He's got like, I've got to do this at 5 minutes, to do this at 25 minutes. And he's got this whole thing lined out for the perfect brew, right? Every single time. And they're really good because you've seen how many I've had every time. Yep. As good as he is at brewing beer, he's just as opposite at throwing bags. He's just the worst.
I knew that was coming. I'm sure Pat knew it was coming. Pat, I can't believe you keep giving this guy beer when he just trashes it.
I don't trash. I mean, we had just an impromptu, let's throw bags on a Tuesday night. I was unbeatable. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why I was unbeatable. Bags were just falling my way. They were not falling his way again.
All right. Well, Pat, hey, and I'm taking this off because then we'll match shirts today. Maybe it's matching shirt day. Yeah. I'm Pat, if you next time you win, make sure you text me and let me know. So mention it on the show here. So.
Hey, speaking of beer sponsors, though, Rachel Barnett. I'm going to tell you what, you want to see somebody that doesn't let you down and lose at cornhole? Well, that's Rachel Barnett. She knows QuickBooks better than anybody I know, right? She can teach you and get you up and running and going. And she not only is great at QuickBooks, she committed to this show for the rest of the year. That's how much she believes in what we're trying to do. And I want to thank her for that. So thanks, Rachel, for your commitment to the show.
Yeah. And up next, Baltimore Mike. Got to thank Baltimore Mike, who's actually hand delivered beer to me, mailed beer across the country to Mike. And my phone was blowing up today. as the two of them argued over football in May. So
I've never seen a football fan try to take credit for Taylor Swift. I mean, I'm a Chiefs fan, and I wasn't even trying to take credit for it. This guy's throwing up there like going cartoon characters of Taylor Swift in a Baltimore Ravens jersey. I'm like, he's like trying to steal Taylor Swift. Who does that? What NFL football fan tries to steal Taylor Swift from the Chiefs?
Baltimore Mike. But thanks for the beer, Mike. And I did enjoy scrolling through, but I didn't have anything to add because you guys were just going nuts over football, and I'm just like, well, you know.
Hey, though, your team, Edmonton, come on now. The Canucks are still in it.
Well, yeah, they're still in it. We're this is a long way away, so we'll see what happens. Hoping the best for the Oilers. They've been okay at best this series, so we'll see what happens. It's I think anybody's game and anybody's series, so we'll see what happens.
There you go. All right, so last one. I always let you kind of throw. Matter of fact, Larry is in San Antonio right now.
Oh, nice.
I mean, you should know that because I'm having this 2-day event. Larry is one of the 15 people going to be at this event that I'm hosting Friday and Saturday here in San Antonio. He is down there at a hotel waiting for me to go to Chart House. I'm taking everybody tonight to the rotating restaurant. If you ever look at the San Antonio skyline and you see this big Space Needle looking thing, like maybe the CN Tower in Toronto or the Space Needle in Seattle, we have one called the Tower of Americas. And I'm taking the whole group tonight for dinner at the rotating restaurant. It's going to be fantastic.
Nice. I wonder if every city has a rotating restaurant. We have one.
You would think, right?
Maybe everyone has to. Maybe it's like a rite of passage for cities. We have one here. I think it's still around. I haven't been there in probably 15 years. I do remember the last time I went, I hadn't been there for probably 20 years before. And I was kind of like, someone's birthday, we were going to the rotating restaurant, it's supposed to be fancy. And we went up there and I'm like, gee, I wonder what they've done with this place. Because last time I'd been there, I was like a kid, probably 12 years old or something. And, early 20s. And I remember walking in and it looked exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
It looks like 1982 in here and it's, 1995 or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, that's a lot of brass, guys. And so I'm assuming by now they've done something with it. If it still even exists, I don't know if it does actually.
Yeah. So I was talking about Larry Weinstein. He is the CPA out of Houston. If you need CPA, contact Larry Weinstein out of Houston because he can take care of you for sure. So, what are you drinking? Right. We're talking about all these other people and their beer. What are you drinking?
So when, in honor of the topic today, when things go wrong, there's consequences. And what the consequences are is Hat Day is canceled. So Hat Day is canceled. Hazy IPA from Refined Fool Brewing Company in Sarnia, Ontario. And if you guys are seeing the show, it's got a great label of this really dejected guy with his hats and Hat Day's canceled. And I just thought, well, that's kind of fitting. And, last week I had a hat, but it's canceled today. So I don't have my hat on today.
Okay, that's funny. All right, so I'm going with a Missouri City, Texas brewing company. It's baseball season. It's called Texas League, is kind of the collection of beers that they have. But what I like about it, they're all baseball themed, right? The Texas Leaguer. This one's the Czech swing. Like, didn't quite hit it, didn't quite miss it. Just kind of check my swing. So that's kind of like overpromising, underdelivering. You just don't quite get it.
Not quite. You tried, and and ends up check your swing, and ends up a strike, and
it must be a Czechoslovakian beer though, right? Because Czech is spelled a little differently if you're looking there. It looks like an old timey baseball. Yeah, it looks like a
great label.
Great label, right? Just the old time baseball cards. It's really good.
Yeah.
Really good. So
very cool. Very cool.
Well, very cool. All right. So here's what happened. You know me. We make up these topics like 10 minutes before the show. And I'm like going, what happened to me this week that I want to talk about? Twice this week, this happened to me. The first time was a product that I was having brought in for my event. So think about this. I have personalized product, these backpacks, right? Logos and stuff on the back of these backpacks. They're supposed to be here 3 days ago. Not here. I'm like calling up, like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
They're like going, well, the first thing is that and I paid for expedited shipping, right? To make sure it got here on time.
Yep.
They blamed it. The company blames it on UPS. They shipped it to the wrong address. Well, how in the world does UPS ship it to the wrong address? It doesn't even make sense to me, right? I put it in right. It's on the order right. I gave it to you right. The only other missing component is what you gave to them. I don't think UPS is in the business of shipping things to the wrong address. And then, so I got talked into this monthly membership for a barbershop, right? Where it's like unlimited. You can go get neck shaves, beard trims, and all that. I'm like, yeah, shit, I'll try. Normally, I don't do that because I get a haircut or whatever about every 6 weeks. But I'm going, maybe I'm going to go more often. Maybe I'm just going to stop by, get cleaned up, get my neck trimmed, get everything just nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I buy the VIP package, which is supposed to guarantee me a spot. Doesn't matter. I just walk in. I should be able to get a spot. Yeah. Not at this place. I walk in today at 11 o'clock this morning. They said, you'll have to come back at 4. We're booked until 4. I'm like, well, how does that work? I said, because when I didn't have the membership, you told me that I just go somewhere else. When I have the membership, you tell me the same thing. Like, what? How does that work? Now you just get guaranteed money from me and you still don't have to provide the service?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a little rough.
I think they're understaffed, right? I mean, if you have that many people booked up where you can't attend to somebody for 5 hours after they walk in, I don't get it. And it's not a beauty salon; it's a barbershop. So two things today made me think about the promise of what I thought I bought versus what I got.
Yeah. Yep. I can actually probably hop in too, because I've had some trouble this week too. Like we ordered a bread maker from Costco and it was supposed to arrive.
You always dog Costco. You always dog that.
Man, it should be better than that. It should be good. It's Costco, right? So we ordered this bread maker and like the day it's supposed to arrive, it doesn't arrive. So I kind of pop on and I'm checking. I'll just check the tracking code and I look and it says label has been printed. That's it. What the hell? So then I'm calling Costco and going like, this was supposed to arrive today. It doesn't look like it's ever left. Oh, call back tomorrow. Okay. Well, we're 5 days in already. Yeah, but sometimes it takes 4 days for UPS to pick something up. And I'm kind of doing the math thinking, well, I think it's 5 days. But anyway, okay, well, I'll phone back tomorrow. So I don't know why I had to phone back tomorrow. And I phone back tomorrow and they're like, oh, I don't know why they're having you call back. They should have dealt with this yesterday. So then I had to put in another order. And then a week goes by and nothing's happening. So I have to call back again. And they're like, oh yeah, when you change an order, it actually takes a really long time. So I'm like, should I just cancel this and buy it again? Oh, that'd be way faster. Why didn't you tell me that 2 weeks ago? So I literally, then I'm canceling the order and it's to put in another whole order right from the start to get this has been an odyssey. Just get a bloody bread maker has been ridiculous. And the amount of time you spend on the phone, annoyed, waiting, on hold is just aggravating, right?
Same thing happened to me with the frame TV from Best Buy. I'm like, where the hell is this thing at? And they said, oh, we'll just send you another one. They didn't tell me to cancel it. We'll just send you another one. Like maybe it got stolen on a truck or something like that. Oh, day later, the first one shows up. 2 days later, the second one shows up. Now I have 2 frame TVs. I just needed one.
And the thing that drives me nuts is this is big business that have a ton of money and giant profit margins. They're public companies and they just don't give a shit. And as a small business, we really care. But we're also, I think, held to a much higher standard than these ones that seem to have infinite resources. And it's shocking to me, but I'm also like, I'm fine with being held to a higher standard because we're going to do that anyway. But man, can the big businesses not even like, can you attempt to come close to small business? You know, for at least giving a shit. It's not like small business we don't make mistakes, but I just feel like we care and they just don't, right?
I always felt like that was the competitive advantage that a small business has. You know, how does the local hardware store compete with Home Depot or Walmart? You walk in and go, "Hey, Joe, yeah, oh yeah, I got it right over here," and they take it. It's the level of service that you can give that people are willing to pay that extra 25% margin, right? It's $2 at Home Depot and it's $2.50 at Joe's Hardware. I'm gonna go there every time just because of the way I get treated, and he knows his product and he knows me, right? And treats me like me. Yeah.
And I will admit with small business, I give them a longer leash because usually they've built up cred with me. And when something goes wrong every once in a while, I'm just like, yeah, well, they're giving it their best. And if they handle it well, then I'm really grateful to them. And it's, but that's I guess a bit of the topic today is, sometimes shit happens and sometimes it happens more than once. And you know, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Interesting. You say you give them a longer leash. That is the Nordstrom's model of business, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, they originally, like in the 60s, built this graph, right? So think about a graph where you got a y-axis and the x-axis, and on the y-axis they had the relationship, how good the relationship was. So the higher the relationship, the better. Mm-hmm. On the x-axis, they had the gripe factor, and that's a word that kind of died. People don't know about griping anymore. You know, I do that at college, and they go, "I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Well, you do it a lot. you actually know how to gripe. You just don't know the word."
Yeah.
But anyway, they noticed that the worse the relationship, the more people griped, right? And the better the relationship, the less they griped. And that became the whole customer service model is how do I get closer to them? And they determined it was about solving a problem. It's the most fragile point in any relationship is when there's an issue, when something happens, right? So here's two things. The two examples I gave you earlier. One was the barbershop that I'm paying a monthly membership fee. I said, okay, I want to cancel then. If there's no benefit to it, I want to cancel. Manager calls me up 3-4 hours later, calls me on my cell phone, say, "Hey, listen, I know you had a problem. This is a staffing issue that I'm going through. We're trying to solve that. Let me waive a month rather than cancel. Would that be okay?" I'm like, yeah. A, I know it's a small business. B, you called me within hours of it happening, the issue happening. And C, you came with a solution. Yeah. I'm all in. The other one, the one I bought the backpacks from, UPS messed up. Sorry. That was it. And in an email a day and a half later, because this started like a couple of days ago. Yeah. So it's like going, the difference between the two companies handling an issue was just enough for me to just dive in on one and poo-poo the other.
And it's just, that's the one thing is just getting back to people fast and just showing that you literally heard them and understand the issue. Like I've complained before about Zoom. I've had a not great experience with Zoom for the last kind of 6 months, and it's gotten worse. And so I have had to call in to make some adjustments to my account because somehow I got on an annual plan, even though I'm paying monthly. And I keep calling in, and this is amazing to me. They keep telling me they're going to send me to some sort of account executive that can sort of deal with this. And then they don't. But they keep sending, "How are we doing?" emails. "How was your last phone call?" Well, shitty. So I'm writing to them like, "You guys haven't done anything." And then I phone back in. I'm on hold forever. I get through to someone. "I can't do anything. I'm going to get you to an account rep." "That's what you said last time." "I swear they'll do it this time." And then I never get an email from the account rep, but I get another email. "How was your call with the success?" They still haven't done anything. This has been going on for 2 weeks. Well, no, 10 days, 10 days, not 2 weeks.
Wow.
I'm going to be truthful here. 10 days to do something that I should be able to just do in my account. And I have got probably 6 or 8, how are we doing emails? And they still haven't freaking like.
So do you answer the emails? Do you respond to the emails saying shitty, 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 shitty every time shitty?
Every time, and I fill in the form, you guys I literally go like, send someone to me to talk to me. I will say yesterday, I did finally get an email from someone I think might've been the account rep. And they basically said, oh, we're going to get you all this information, and just gone radio silence again. I'm like, I already know I'm going to be back in the Zoom, like waiting, hold, music in the background on hold tomorrow. Because I've got to get this all sorted before they flip it over and try and charge me for another year. And I'm like, it's laughable. Like, it would be hilarious if it happened to someone else, but to me, I'm like, this is ridiculous how much time I'm wasting. And on top of it, how are we doing? Give us a check mark. You guys, like, seriously, just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, so that happened to me over at the Ford dealership, right? It was about, I couldn't get appointments, couldn't get anybody to answer the phone. All these things that were promised me didn't happen. And I just kept responding to the email because I was getting the same thing. How we doing? How we doing? Shitty, 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 shitty. And finally somebody goes, hey, that hurts us when you don't give us a 5-star review. Yeah, no shit. You don't deserve one. Like, that's the point. That's the point.
Exactly.
Yeah, but instead of trying to fix the issue, that's what they told me. Hey, that hurts my score. That hurts me my something. I'm like going, yeah, I don't really care. I don't care.
And so yeah, I guess we've had our little bitch fest. So that's our slightly BS. But how does a company rise above this and actually, especially as a small business, you have an opportunity to be better than the big guys? Or maybe sometimes you're a small business and you're getting a bunch of complaints. How do you rise above that? How do you flip things around?
I think I've said this on the podcast before. My personal philosophy is aura, right? You put an aura around the customer, AURA. And all that is, it's around communication. I acknowledge, right? As soon as something comes in, I tell you what, I'm working with this company called Fix Runner right now. And all they do is just maintain little things on the website. That's all they do, right? It's like $250 a quarter. Not much, but if I have a problem with the website, no technical problem, they fix it. And they keep everything updated. They back it up. They do. That's all they do. It's not a lot of money, but it's an important job that I don't want to deal with. And just like today, I create a ticket, I send it in, I instantly got an acknowledgement, got your ticket, let us look into it. Instantly, I'm like, that's exactly what I want. Then update me. I'm talking about within an hour and a half. Hey, here's what we found, here's what we did, no problem, check it out, see if you like it. Every single time I use Fix Runner, that's my experience. That's what I expect, right? If you want, and nobody probably knows Fix Runner. It's not one of these things that we talk about all the time. But it's one of those things where if you got an issue, they acknowledge that there's an issue. They update you with the progress. Even if they don't solve it right then, they update, hey, we looked into it. We got to do some more work. Then they'll resolve it usually within a week. And then they send me the, hey, how'd we do? After the resolution. That's when the how'd we do thing came out. They have the perfect sequence of dealing with me. And I think every small business could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. We should put that in the show notes because I know you had an acronym and I couldn't remember what it was. Or I'll have to try and remember that because it is a really good approach. And I know, like for us, we don't have a cool acronym, but like the acknowledge and update, and that's really important to us. Like, reach out right away. Like, don't let it sit. Let people know right away. We're checking into it. We're onto it. There's something. And then we sort of elevate it, like circle and team. Don't like, let's get this done. and then update them, because you don't want to leave them hanging, right? And so like it's very much kind of our process too. And to me, it's details matter. Like that's where things fall through the cracks. And it's oftentimes it's just details matter. Just circuit people in if you need to. Just make sure that it's taken care of. It doesn't fall through the cracks, right?
Well, and sometimes you can't fix it, right? As a small business owner, you can't fix it. Like, I can't do what you're asking me to. I just can't do it, either for money or for technology or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
Come up with something, right? Come up with something. Like, they couldn't fix the fact that I couldn't get into the barber shop. Couldn't fix that. What they did is, hey, let me just give you a month free so you can still come back anytime that month and, fix it. And then they gave me a private line that says, we will set up a recurring appointment for you. This was really what got me over the bat, saying, if you want to come in Tuesdays at 4, we'll set you a recurring appointment that no one can ever interrupt.
Yeah. I was going to suggest to you actually do that, but if they actually came forward and did that for you, that's
no, they did that.
That's really
they did that. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference between the two experiences I had this week.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like thinking back over the years, like the idea of the oops, you did it again kind of thing. Those are lessons. Like there's hard learned lessons that I know back in my agency days, there were hard learned lessons but usually it was just by time number 2, you'd go, oh, I've seen that before. This isn't some crazy edge case. This can happen. Let's figure this out. Let's sort this out. Let's make sure it's future proofed, rather than put into the fire once. Now we need a process. Now we need a system. Now we need that in place. And because we learned some hard lessons, like scope creep was one that we, for an agency was so deadly, and we had to learn how to it could be a regular thing. You had to learn how to deal with your customers, but you also had to learn how to deal with it internally and make sure we weren't I used to call it self-imposed scope creep. It was like, let's just make it cooler, even though we're not getting paid for it. We did that too often. Right. And there were challenges like that. The oops, we did it again was we should have taken that contract at face value and read it a little bit closer, because now we're screwed. Doesn't matter what they say. Doesn't matter if it was boilerplate in the contract and we just thought, it's just boilerplate. Is there illegal? Nope. It could catch you again. So those are really hard lessons in small business. And sometimes things happen once and they'll never happen again. But I'll tell you, when something happens that second time, for me, that's when the ears perk up. And we've made a mistake that's really hurt us internally. Hey,
what's funny is that I actually got a request for a quote, an answer to a question today from it's a legal company, right? They're talking about contracts, and they're talking about how contracts, paying attention to the details, actually can impact your small business. And they reached out to me for a quote about details in a contract that impact cash flow, right? And all the things we've talked about with contracts and payment up front and milestones and progress payments and those type of things. I went ahead and got that. So, it's going to be published in the next couple of weeks. But, that's so true. That contract itself becomes your promise.
Yes.
On both parties. It's both parties' promises. So yes. I think it's important to note that how do you, if you're in one of those situations, how do you respond when it goes south, right? When it doesn't happen exactly right.
And how do you learn from something so next time you're on top of it? Like, first of all, kudos to that law firm, because that is some insightful legal, because we've had, lawyers that have gone through contracts before when we were, I've had them go through and they explain it to you. But it was always up to us to understand what the ramifications are of different things in the contract on how it will affect our cash flow, which was always a big issue. And that was always up to us. And so And I've said it before, we, especially like after that 2008, things kind of the bottom fell out. Boy, did we get good at reading contracts, and boy, did we get good at negotiating to make sure our cash flow kept flowing. And I've probably said this in the show before. It was also the timing of when you negotiate the contract. We never said any of this in the proposal stage. We waited till it was awarded and the contract was sitting on their desk, and they don't want to go anywhere else because they've gone through the entire process. And then it'd be like, yeah, we're good. Just a slight edit here on the payment terms here. And we had all kinds of ingenious little things that we would get written into the contract after the fact to make sure that our cash flow kept moving, because the legal department at whichever company or whichever department in the government or whoever it was does not care about our cash flow. But if you do it at the right time, they don't care that much about an edit to it, because they don't even, doesn't make a difference to them. So it's a really good thing that you highlighted, is that contracts aren't, it's easy to just think it was just legal. It's like the two things that I looked for like a hawk in a contract: scope creep and cash flow. Those are the two big ones. You have to look through everything else. You don't just glance through it, but look at it on how it could affect your business.
Yeah, exactly right. So, hey, speaking of affecting your business, if you want more cash flow, if you want more money in your bank account, then hey, check out my course, The Clear Path to Cash, because I've got 8 lessons in maximizing cash in your business. It's at cashflowmike.com. And I'll tell you what, I've got a free book. If you don't know how to look at financial statements and look for problems in your business today, I'm going to give you 6 calculations that touches all the bases: the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. You'll look at them. I call it the 7-minute conversation. Go get that book for free today at cashflowmike.com.
Yeah, do it. Take advantage of it, because it doesn't have to be long, complicated, and a pro. It's a little bit like I just said, like when you're looking through legal stuff and the lawyer can explain what it all means, you have to identify what that means to your business cash flow. It's the same thing with this stuff. You can look through this stuff and it's going to help you put it in context and understand where your revenue is at risk, where your cash flow is at risk, where your profits at risk in your business. So take Mike up on that, because it's going to help your business.
Yeah, I appreciate it. How'd you like that segue? I went right into our mid-roll commercial.
Yeah. And Pat, if you're listening, no, Pat isn't listening. Pat, you're not listening live, but if you're listening after the fact, I could tell on the first word out of your mouth, it's like, here we go, segue. I can just tell it's just like a little bit of tone change. I'm like, here we go.
I went into carnival barker. I went into carnival barker.
Yeah, that's exactly like, oh, this is teeing her up.
Hey, Courtney calls that voice my cash flow Mike voice. She goes, "Oh, don't be trying to do cash flow Mike right now." I'm like, so I'm not. I'm just being normal. All right. So So this happened to me. All right. In January this year, I switched the way I process memberships, right? I went from more of you buy a course to ongoing support, right? And I had to switch the back end processes in my website. And what happened is people that bought in December, their accounts got really, really screwed up, right? It's just like they got kicked out of courses. I had to reset everything, but I didn't know who got impacted. So I had to wait for people to come in. And man, I'm telling you what, when I saw something come in, I'm jumping on it right then. Because I know that if you can't log in, if you don't have access, then my membership, my course has no value to you.
Yeah.
So nothing mattered. I don't care what I was working on, who I was talking to. I would jump off the phone, off the computer, and fix their issue.
Yeah.
And I had people actually say, "Oh, I didn't expect you to respond on Sunday evening." Yeah, I will. If that's the time you're going to be taking the course and working on your business, hey, I'm going to be there for you. Right. Because it's that important to my business that you have access to the content. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I like, with what we've been doing is I think it's really ingrained in our culture. And we had just a chat message came from a user that's just sort of testing us out overseas, totally different time zones. So a little bit trickier to get on the phone. And, was saying like, I'm a little bit confused by this. And I tried to book a time, but your times don't work into my time zone. And, and I don't really know like what to do here. And I can't find any stuff on your help menu. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, that's not good. But what I did is, our director of client success actually was out of the office that day, but she got the message, texted me right away and said, can you guys follow up with this guy? Because, he needs some help. Right. And so I went on and I did like, honestly, probably a half-hour video. And I just kind of went, hey, let me walk this through. I know you're in another time zone here. First of all, we've done a bunch of changes to dry run. So we're transitioning all of our help menu stuff. And it's taken some time to do it because we got to re-record everything. And we're missing this here. So thanks for the heads up on that. But let me walk you through it. And I just did it on a Loom video. And you know what? I think he really appreciated it because he emailed next day, terrific. That's great. Just got a couple other questions, but his tone you can see changed. Right. And he really, I think, appreciated just something personal and just getting on top of it and doing it. This is nothing exciting. It's doing the right thing. That's all it is. Just doing the right thing. Right.
Two things there. First of all, you're a lot smarter than I am. Like, because I probably wouldn't have done the video. I would have probably said, what time works for you? 2 a.m? Yeah, I'm there. I would have got up 2 o'clock in the morning and just talked to him. But you're a lot smarter. You're a lot smarter than I am.
Well, we are booking them, but like we're booking them for next week. But we also looked at, like, I literally brought up, there's a website that shows the time zones and everything. And I'm like, I know there's a slot. It's late afternoon, early evening for us. Will work really good for him first thing in the morning. It's not fortunately not 2 a.m. sort of thing. There is a time slot that'll work. So, but it was just responding really quickly, but also like, hearing them. And I'm like, yeah, I can answer some of these questions and I can do that. But you know what, like I also had one that I realized we did it again. We're like a total flub up this week. And what it was we've been getting a lot more interest up market than that's just where we're getting pulled. And that's where the interest is. And what I realized is we still had a bit of the mentality of a little bit more entry level market where it's all about, just like make it easy, make it fast, make it simple, make it da-da-da. And we kind of flubbed up, and it took us 2 times before all of a sudden I was like a total head slapper. And I'm like, oh, I know exactly what we did. This is an enterprise sale, which means it's not the same process. It's not straight from like a demo and then you meet and you do an implementation or whatever onboarding.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's now you have to go to a discovery session. We have a whole list of stuff we have to ask them. We have to build a proposal up. We got to send the proposal. It's got to have not just about the project, but also about us and about our security and about this and about that. All of these things that I know needs to be done because there's multiple stakeholders in the conversation, and most of them we won't get to talk to. So it was kind of like where it used to be kind of like, let's make it easy, make it fast, make it easy. Here it's like, slow it down. Slow is fine. Mm-hmm. Take the steps. They want to be reassured. They want to see exactly what we're doing, what we're about, and anticipate what they need to know and what they need to see ahead of time. Yeah. Because now it's like we're kind of like backpedaling and putting out some fires and kind of where it's like, if we would have done this right, we would have really slid through. And what it did is it just, once I identified it, why it was a head slapper is because I spent like 10 years selling to enterprise with my agency. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, now I understand. I just like, that's how we got to do it. And so it was a little bit of a head slapper, but it was, like I said to the team, it was so incredibly valuable because it's like those 2 kind of challenges we got here literally painted the path of here's how we do it. And I would just see it now. Right.
Yeah. Not everything is, I'm going to send you a link, put in your credit card and get started. Not everything is that way. Sometimes
Yep.
the bigger ones are more challenging. You got different departments, different permissioning. Maybe you got some different views you might have to install. I mean, it's a bigger deal.
It's long. It's long. I was talking with a friend of mine today, and I remember him talking about basically landing a deal. It would be maybe 14, 15 months ago. And when I was talking with him today, he's like, yeah, it's kind of embroiled in legal. He's like, we're all good. It's down to these little nitpicky, ridiculous things that are like, will slide through. There's nothing that's holding it up. I shouldn't say holding it up. There's stuff that's holding it up. There's nothing that's actually anything more than a tiny little, like, it's not even an issue.
Word change. Yeah.
That's how long it takes. And I'm just like, oh yeah. Oh, I remember those days. And sort of kind of we're back to that a little bit where like we had to go through kind of a security and IT audit of our software with like a top 15 US accounting firm. And the forms took us, like, we had all the documents, we had all the documentation, we had it all ready. We've got it kind of like, we got all of our stuff together. It took us like a half an hour to fill this out, send the documentation, 8 weeks. Like it was freaking 8 weeks to get to the point where I was like, got a check mark, right? You're like, oh my God. But that's just, that's just what it is. So it's just, there's nothing easy. It's just what it is.
All right. So I've got this new thing that is promising the world, right? Meaning I bought a piece of equipment. So this 2-day event that I'm hosting, people couldn't attend in person, some of them. So they want to attend virtually. Right. And I always think about, if I stream this, that's going to be a massive cost, right? Just the way it is. Can you stream it? How can I make it to where you can hear, you can see, you can understand for the money that you pay? Make sense?
Yeah.
So I ran across a newer product, and it's called eMeet. EMEET. Have you heard of them?
Nope.
All right, so check this out. Just a second. All right, so I'm holding up the box that this thing comes in, and it's got this capsule with a speaker and like 8 microphones and a 360 camera on it. And then it has this additional camera. Now, here's the thing about this. I'm not going, it can't be. It can't be as good as they say, where you can have, a room full where if you're, and it connects to Zoom like this, like crazy. And it changes the whole visual of the people's cameras with their software. So anyway, this 360 camera is AI driven, right? So what it does is it scans 360 around it and it picks out faces, right? And then it creates, like what you see on Riverside here, it creates a box of your face. And then when you talk, it focuses on you, right? And it takes the other people, puts them away. If they're not talking, you're really not seen, or you can show everybody. There's a panoramic view of the whole table as well. But it focuses in. Even if you move around the room, it will focus in on whoever's talking. The secondary camera, they've got these 2 stickers, right? They're magnets that you put on a whiteboard. And the secondary camera creates one visual of just a whiteboard, right? So now I got where I can share a slide, I can draw on a whiteboard, and everybody that talks can hear. And I'm like going, well, the speaker can't be that great. Speaker's fantastic. I'm like, hell, I could use that for just playing music in the house. The microphone can't be that great. No, I'm telling you, Courtney was like almost 20 feet away from it. And I was in the other room and she was like across the room from that. And I'm like going, oh shit, that sounds good on Zoom. I was on a connected Zoom link just testing it out. If it works as good as it did in the house this week, right? In an all-day event, everybody should go out and buy this thing, because it will change every hybrid or virtual event you've ever had, where you don't have to worry about sound. You don't have to worry about video. And this secondary camera that just focuses on the whiteboard, I mean, it zooms in and focuses just on the whiteboard so that everybody can see what you're drawing in real time. It has the greatest promise in the world. Now, next Thursday when we record, I'm probably going to say either this is the best thing I've ever bought in my life, or remember all that shit I said last week? Yeah. We bombed. I owed people money. All this. So that's what I'm saying. That now all the promise is right there. It just has to deliver starting tomorrow.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing how this thing works, because it looks cool, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? And I'm going to throw in now. This is a little bit off topic, but maybe it isn't. It's the overpromise, underdeliver. I will say underpromise, overdeliver a little bit yesterday when I started playing around with Chat GPT 4.0.
Yeah, I know. What's the difference? I can't figure it out. What's the difference?
Well, you can talk to it and it'll talk back to you, so you don't have to type. And you can also show it stuff. So you can upload images, but it can also show you stuff. So it can upload hey, here's a spreadsheet, or here's a graph. Well, here's a graph back, and it can do all this stuff. It was to me, it's kind of what's kind of amazing is this feels like it should be at least called Chat GPT 5, because it feels like a big step forward, that now it's not just type. I can literally just sit there and talk to it and put in visuals and everything. Nope. It's not even Chat GPT 5 yet. And realizing that, man, I think it was only a year and a half ago that I was starting to play around with chat, and it's changed. I think, unless my years are off, it's hard to imagine that it could be that recent. But the pace at which this is moving forward is quite staggering. So anyway, it's not it's funny because you get used to it pretty quick, and then it's this is bullshit. Driving home from Arizona, and I'm used to just be so impressed with the car going, take me to this address or take me here. And on the way home, I'm yelling at it because I'm like, do you not know anything? Its AI is so shitty compared to chat that I'm like, you suck so bad. You suck so bad. So I can't wait till it's in my car so I can literally have a conversation that is not so shitty. But I was quite surprised and quite impressed with how much progress they've made in an extremely short time. And it just gives you a bit of a feel for where it's going to be a year from now, right?
You know what's funny is that Courtney's got this new Mercedes, right? And it can tell the difference between me driving and her driving. Changes everything from the color scheme to the of course, seat position, stuff like that. Radio stations change, right? Your favorites. When I didn't have a picture loaded, it just had just an icon. It dressed me in Masters clothes when the Masters tournament, the golf tournament was on. Easter, it put me in Easter clothes. This whole screen is AI driven though. That it personalizes everything about your experience. And she doesn't like BMW. She's anti BMW.
Courtney, I still love you.
She says she goes, I've rented BMWs. I don't like it. Don't like it, at all.
Each to their own. But that's
all right. So I almost rarely get into her car because I think it's built for kids, not husky kids like me. They have to I have to bend my neck down like this and squeeze into the car. I'm going, it's not built for bigger people. So don't think you're going to go buy a Mercedes and just slide in and out of it. You're not.
I heard last week. Now, I don't know if this is true. I heard that Waymo is now onto the freeways in Phoenix. And
is that the self-driving cars? Is that the self-driving cars? Okay.
And I've heard they're maybe up to our place now. And so I'm really hoping that's true because by next fall, I'm hoping that, because we used to take Waymos downtown, when you're in the downtown core, but we couldn't get all the way home or all the way back. And I'm really hoping is that we can now, because I got to tell you, I know people are nervous about, a self-driving car, but it's unbelievable how good of a driver it is. It's also unbelievable how bad some of the Uber drivers we've had have been in the last while. And I'm like, oh my God, these guys are awful. Like, you just gripping the seat, hoping to get home in one piece. So I'm up for having Waymo all the way to our place. So
in Waco, Texas, our Uber driver was so bad. I asked him, I say, you think I can drive? You let me drive? It was that bad. I mean, it didn't help. I think he was high, but
I guarantee I've had a few of those too. You can just tell when you get in, you're like, oh shit, this is not going to be good. The experience to me of the self-driving car was within 30 feet, you're like, oh shit, this is the future. It is awesome. It's comfortable, and it's not someone looking at their phone. Like I said, probably smoked some weed before they got in the car. Like, the experience has been a lot better, and I've not had as good of experience with the drivers lately. So yeah. It's I'm hoping, and I hope they roll it out everywhere sooner than later.
What do you think? All right, so I think the predictability of that is that if there were only self-driving cars, there would be zero accidents, and I don't think that's true.
I don't think it's true, but boy, I bet you it would be pretty damn close. They're already they're already 700% safer, 7 times safer. But what I think is quite interesting is I suspect there's a big chunk of the actual collisions that happened were not the Waymo's fault. It was like the Uber driver's fault, right? It's like you'll never get to zero.
Yeah, but they're
already
like a kid.
7 times safer, right?
Yeah, but it's like a kid darts out, or somebody on a bicycle, makes a turn right in front of it. I mean, all the other stuff is probably not the Waymo's fault, but you almost like going, what would a person have recognized that? Like, oh well, shit, here comes a ball coming down, down the driveway. I better slow down. Are there other things that the AI cannot pick up?
Well, I'm not sure, except that they have done. See, that's the other thing is I look at it and go, my Uber driver isn't getting any smarter. They've done millions of miles, and I don't know how many they're doing a day now, but it is staggering. And every single mile makes them smarter. We actually, when we were in the Waymo the one time, we actually had a guy like wheel out in front and cut us off. And I think he was trying to see if the Waymo would hit him, to be completely honest. And it just saw him coming, slowed down. Like it was amazing. I'm like, it knew where the guy was before we saw he was even there. And it was all like, because that's the thing you realize when you get in the car. As a driver, you're kind of looking here and you're glancing in the mirrors and glancing. This thing sees 360
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And you can see on the screen and you're driving along and go, oh shit, it sees everything. Like it sees everything. And it sees people walking up to the curb to cross, and it sees all this. But like I said, the big thing is it gets smarter every minute. And they have, when they say it's 7 times safer, this is based on millions of miles, not like, oh, we've driven it for 40 miles, millions. So it's quite staggering. And I'll tell you, if it was all self-driving cars with that level of technology, I'm sure you still have some collisions, but man, it would be a fraction. You're not talking, what is it? 40,000 people a year die in the US every year.
Hey, I would think drunk driving, DUIs, DWIs, or whatever, go away.
They're gone.
Just go away.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. So.
Yeah, I was, and I'll be honest with you, the first time I got in, I was like a little nervous, and within 30 feet, you're like, wow, this thing's pretty good, and it's comfortable. Yeah. And so I'm suddenly a big proponent of it. So.
All right. So what'd you learn today?
Oh man, you always throw this at me. I'm like, I don't know. We bished a lot. we bished a lot about other people's, service and everything. But
that just means we're human. We're like we get frustrated, even though we are the biggest supporters and champions of small business that you will ever run across, or business in general. we're still frustrated on occasion. I think it's okay to feel that way.
I will say one thing though. I want you to do the acronym ORA again for me.
It's pretty good. Dude,
update. What was after that again?
Resolve. And approach. Yeah, resolve and approach. All right. So what I mean by that is, like, if you make an issue, a complaint, file a ticket, whatever it is, acknowledge it and try to acknowledge it as soon as you can. My goal is that within the hour. You put it in there. I don't have to solve it. I don't have to look at it. Saw your complaint. That's all I'm saying. Saw it. Hey, that's the A, right? The second part is update. If I can't get it in 24 hours, if I can't get you, something, I'm going to update you. Yeah, I'm looking into this. A little tougher than I thought it would be. Give me some more time. At least you on the other end don't feel forgotten. You're like, oh, yeah, he's still on it, right? I don't got to worry about it. So at least in the day, I try to update somebody. In a week, I try to resolve it. Even if it's not the perfect resolution between you and me. If you expect one thing and I can't deliver it and I got to do something else, I'm going to come to the table with some solution within a week. Because I think longer than a week, everybody's just pissed, right? Just like, And then the last one is approach. Sometimes, not only do I want to approach you like, hey, meaning that, how was my service? What'd you think? But I'm going to approach other customers as, hey, this was an issue. If you're having the same thing, here's what I'm doing. Right. So I approach people to try to stop the problem from happening again. So AURA is about creating an aura around your customer. And you do that by helping them solve a problem and feel like they're heard. And that's really all that is.
And I think that last A to me, that approach is also, I think, I don't know if an acronym works in, but that's the point that I always made sure that we're circling in the team when something's happened more than once, to be able to go, okay, how do we solve this through systems and processes? This is not just a one-off. This is something that we have to deal with. Let's figure this out, because we want to have that preventative measure in place for next time.
You know what? I'm not opposed to changing my acronym to another A word. Let me ask Chelsea real quick. It can't be Chelsea because it's 4.0 or 4 little o or whatever it is. So it was Chad, then Chelsea. Now what's this one?
Well, I don't know. It's so approach. So you're talking with the team. So it's kind of like you're circling in the team. You're gaining consensus. There's another C word. Orc. Mm-hmm. That's a word.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you could do fart, follow up, approach.
We're not doing that.
Resolve, team.
Hey, align. Oh,
align. There. Oh,
Chuck,
that is good.
I'm going to call Chuck align everybody else. This is what's happening. We're aligning the issue. Is beautiful. Chuck can do it, right? So we got Chad, Chelsea, and Chuck.
Chad, Chelsea, and Chuck. I was actually thinking last night was like, when I was watching the demo from ChatGPT 4.0 and then playing around with it myself. And I'm like, you know what? The most annoying thing is they keep saying, hey, ChatGPT, like, can you guys come up with a 1-syllable name for this thing? Hey, bot. Like, I don't even care what you call it. It should not be, hey, ChatGPT. Like, that is just, how do they come up with a name that's that bad? That's a branding disaster. We could do a whole show on that. They're highly successful, but honestly, seriously, it should not be called ChatGPT. That's just brutal. That's an engineer who came up with that. I shouldn't say that, but it's totally true.
All right. So now I have to go rewrite that whole lesson and change approach to align.
I like it.
All right. Hey, man, you have been listening to Mike and Blaine. This is episode 142. If you haven't heard anything in the past, if you've never seen us, we got 142 episodes now. You can go to mikeandblaine.com. Get them all. If you don't like mikeandblaine.com, go to Google, go to Spotify, go to Apple, go to wherever you get your podcast. And, but if you go to mikeandblaine.com, what can they do there?
Make sure buy us a beer. First of all, you can buy us a beer. And we are always looking for more beer sponsors. We literally have 4 sponsors right now. A bunch are going all the way through the year. We are always looking for more beer sponsors. You can buy us a beer and we'll actually talk about you on the show. It's the cheapest way to get a little buzz because we get a lot of people like checking us out now. And but also make sure you subscribe, you'll follow, you like. We really appreciate it when you like our videos. We're getting way more followers. And Hat Day is no longer canceled.
You have uncanceled Hat Day. So, hey, welcome back with the hat.
Hat Day.
Yeah.
I finished my beer, so now I have uncanceled Hat Day.
Hey, you look like the Breaking Bad guy now. The white hat version of Walter White. Blaine Birch, Walter White. Fair enough. The Canadian version of Walter White is Blaine Birch.
Well, from the hat, maybe not from the profession.
Fair enough. Hey, man, always appreciate you, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.